Welcome back to the United Pubcast. The football does not stop, Tom. I'm still trying to process that Manchester derby, but there's no time for that. We need to look forward to Crystal Palace. It's a big game coming up, and you did a video earlier today about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, a former Palace man, and whether he should be leaving the club. That's a great video. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you go and check that out. But let's now cast an eye to Crystal Palace, Tom. Like I said, the football does not stop. Firstly, how are you feeling? Have you recovered your voice following the Manchester derby?
I think the voice is recovered, but the feeling hasn't died down at all. I think the feeling remains. Sometimes after those big wins, you're on a little bit of that high or a big part of that high, and then it comes down the next day. You think, okay, back to work, back to reality. But this one has just remained, and I think that goes to show of what an occasion it was, both on and off the pitch. Definitely haven't come down. The voice has recovered, thank God, though.
Great to hear, mate. Great to hear. Well, you know what? There might be a few more cheers if you believe the most recent transfer link. More on that a little bit later. But firstly, let's talk about Crystal Palace. They're currently 12th in the table. And in terms of the form guide, they're sitting about 15th. They've only won 2 of their last 6 games. So they're really struggling, Crystal Palace, in terms of the Premier League table. Have you seen much of Crystal Palace this season, and what have you made of their performances?
Well, you say that form guide, and sort of what I have seen in recent times, it doesn't look really too bright for Crystal Palace. I remember at the start of the season, especially since Patrick Vieira has taken over, they're one of the clubs you think there's a little bit there and there's a little bit of progression, and sort of very unlike Crystal Palace, they're very, I use the word probably stale under Roy Hodgson for a large period of time. They were so often reported about being the oldest team in the league under Roy Hodgson, the oldest manager. Then suddenly Patrick Vieira came in and there was a little bit of vibrancy amongst Palace. So there was a bit of a buzz around there, but ultimately you look where they currently sit. And I was looking at the table and they're probably the last team that could potentially sort of be dragged down into a potential sort of relegation battle. So at the moment, if you do look at things, obviously Manchester United in great form, Crystal Palace aren't in the best. So that does fill me with confidence. And obviously Manchester United, all things being equal, should just sort of go to Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park and get the job done. Now, it is a tricky spot. It's one of those midweek games. I think this is where, look, we'll get into title talk a little bit later, but this is one of the games and fixtures a title-winning team will look back on in May and think, yeah, okay, that was a tricky tie, but we got through it because we're champions. So if we do want to sort of embrace that talk throughout the rest of the title run, this is the game we do need to go win.
Absolutely. Just on Crystal Palace, who do you see as a danger man? Is there anyone in that side where you're like, United need to be wary of them? Now, obviously, when we consider the form we're in, you expect United, if they're performing anything near their best, to get the job done. But we can't be weary. It is the Premier League. Who's the one player in the Crystal Palace side where you say, if you're Manchester United, he's the one player we need to watch out for?
Look, it's a very simple answer, very probably lazy answer to say Wilfried Zaha, but he is the player that sort of can provide almost that X factor against anyone. I think his productivity in regards to throughout a season is probably not there, and that's probably why he is at a club at Crystal Palace, and it didn't work out at Manchester United. So he's always the one that springs to mind. I think Jordan Ayew up front always sort of causes the defenders problems. He's always involved, whether in a good fashion or a bad fashion. He's always in the middle of things, and sometimes in these midweek games when sort of ties can get a little bit sort of testy and heated, and sort of when there's a little bit of drama, that action is all action. In terms of, we're going to talk about WEGHORST and how he can sort of provide a bit of a nuisance up front. He always does that. So I'll be interested in that centre-back partnership in terms of if it will be Luke Shaw again or does Lisandro Martinez come back in. It will be very interesting. But the easy answer is Wilfried Zaha. But again, you do look at the table. I think we need to get out of that sort of mindset as, who's the opposition got. We need to get back in the mindset of sort of back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, saying we're Manchester United, we're rocking up, forget about them, let them worry about us.
Absolutely. Look, with Crystal Palace, it is the lazy answer, but it is the correct answer. Wilfried Zaha is their most prolific player this season. He's got 6 goals, 3 assists. So in terms of the numbers, he's definitely there. And the one I would actually look out for, I always butcher his surname despite having the shortest name in football. Easy. I'm not sure.
I go Eze. I say Eze, but yeah, I could be wrong.
Eze is a good footballer. I like him. Midfielder, I like how he plays. He adds a bit of bite into their midfield. He had a nasty injury not too long ago, didn't he? Maybe around just over 12 months ago, didn't he? He had an ACL injury. So
he did. I remember it definitely looked bad. I forget what the actual diagnosis was, but I remember it was a bad one.
I'm certain it was an ACL, but it's good to see that he's sort of come back into the groove of things. But let's bring it to Manchester United, Tom. Obviously, that is where the focus does lie. We are a United fan channel after all, but What do you expect? Do you think that this will be a rotated side? I mean, it's kind of hard as a fan to not look forward to that Arsenal match at the weekend. But if you're Erik ten Hag, how do you treat this game? Do you think, is it simply a game at a time and the game in front of me is the most important game, or do you have to keep an eye on Arsenal?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. The answer is probably a little bit in between. So it's not going to be, I think, full strength, but it's not going to be heavily rotated. I think it's one of those ones where maybe one player will come out or maybe two players will come out. I think it'll be very small rotation, but I think that is what is needed. I think we look at it and we've sort of done this, been so guilty over the past in regards to the positions we put ourselves in terms of challenge for fourth and Thursday nights in the Europa League. We're always talking about rotation. We're talking, now we've got to rest for this game, rest for that game. Ultimately, though, if you do look at title-winning teams, 9 times out of 10, they play the same team. Midweek and Saturday, it's the same team. Now, obviously, a title-winning team is usually the team with the least amount of injuries, which obviously helps them sort of do that consistently. But I do look at this, and we are looking, okay, we need our strongest team for Arsenal. That means rest everyone. Well, no, the team who wins the title will go and get the job done with their strongest team. If they can rotate after 70, 80 minutes, they will. So I do look at it and think, in my mind says rotate, rest everyone for Arsenal. But I do look at it. Crystal Palace away is going to be a tough game midweek, so we do need to go win it. I don't think Erik ten Hag, but we can't be in a position now where we think, oh, we're just lucky, we're happy to be in a title race. Erik ten Hag is going to have to put his foot down and say, no, stuff it, we are in a title race. Okay, let's do our best. If it falls off by March, okay, it falls off. Okay, we need to do 100% by the fans and by the club now, and that is to go out to every game to win it.
I'm with you, mate. I'm definitely with you there. I'm going to come to some of your comments. Make sure you get your thoughts in as well. Do you think United will play a strong 11, or do you expect a rotated side? Maybe you can comment strong or rotated, just whatever you're thinking. George here, one of those bogey teams that can turn it on will definitely need to defend Zaha most importantly. You're right, mate. He's their most important player. There's no doubts about that. And Tad Bakes, nice to see you in the comments, mate. Every time I look at your name, I'm thinking of Ted Baker. So if you are Ted Baker, hiding behind that name, make sure to buy me a nice bag for work. But Palace don't worry you at all. All you have to do is Zaha, rock him early, and his head goes. Zaha does have that tendency a little bit, doesn't he? He can definitely float in and out of games, and if he's not on, he definitely doesn't look good. George making the point here, Martinez needs 90 minutes against Palace. Tom, without further ado, that's a great segue into your starting 11. What do you think Ten Hag will put out? Let's start with the defense. Who do you expect to line up?
Well, as I said in the earlier I did today in regards to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think he starts against Arsenal. I think at the moment, in regards to the short-term future, he's first choice right back. That doesn't mean I think Diogo Dalot won't be by the end of the season or even the future. But as things stand, you go back to the McTominay and Casemiro situation at the start of the season. McTominay was playing well, so he kept his spot. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is playing well. He's keeping his spot. And the big game is Arsenal, so I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka plays there. But there's no hiding from the fact Diogo Dalot, long-term, is a more Erik ten Hag player. So I think Diogo Dalot gets minutes here alongside Lisandro Martinez in the back four. So I think you got Martinez and Varane in the middle, Diogo Dalot on the right, and Luke Shaw on the left. And when you do weigh up the balance of this whole season, it's arguably our strongest back four.
Yeah, can't disagree with you there. Let's get into the juicy part of the team, the engine room, if you like. Speaking of rotating players, is there an opportunity to rest Casemiro here? We saw McTominay come on late against Manchester City. Do you think you would opt to rest the Brazilian here? Can we afford to rest Casemiro?
No, I think this midfield will be strong. I think this will be Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno. The reason I think it'll be, I don't know if this will make sense. Let's see how it comes out. In regards to Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno, I have a feeling on Saturday or Sunday when we do play Arsenal, I think we'll go very similar to what we did against Manchester United. I think Bruno will be shifted out to the wide right in replace of Anthony. So I think Anthony sort of might get the start in this game, push Bruno inside, and there's Anthony's minutes midweek, and I think Bruno will be pushed wide against Arsenal. So I can see a middle three of Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes. And look, on paper, that is our strongest team, and I think go and get the job done.
Wow, it's a big call, mate. Absolutely a big call. It'll be really interesting to see what Ten Hag does. I think Fred's justified his performance against Manchester City. I'd like to see Fred get a start here. I think against Arsenal...
Do you think there's a case, though, in regards to maybe more important against Arsenal?
Fred. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. You could almost say that it'll be similar to the Manchester City game. It might be a little bit cagey, and maybe you want Fred's legs in the engine room there. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, you know what, you do have a point. You got me thinking there, and I think maybe with United, you expect to have a majority of the ball. Maybe Eriksen is the right move in this one.
Just bring up Mike's comment there in regards to Casemiro and a yellow card. That's interesting. Now, some of that might be felt, I'm not sure, but that'll be very interesting. That would definitely weigh up on my mind. If Casemiro is on a yellow card, yeah, well, I will potentially be changing things then, and I'll make sure he doesn't get that against Crystal Palace because we definitely need him for Arsenal.
Ted Bates has gotten his starting 11 in. So what have you got, Tad? You've got De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Martinez, Shaw, McTominay, Eriksen, Bruno, Garnacho, Weghorst, Anthony. Will Weghorst get into our starting 11? You'll find out in just moments. But you know what's interesting with the Lindelof-Martinez option? You know what I've noticed about Ten Hag, Tom? And again, I've made this point to you before. It's very clear to me that he's split his centre-backs in terms of left and right centre-backs. Harry Maguire has not played left centre-back once this season. If Harry Maguire is on the bench, it's because Varane's starting. It's as simple as that. I think Maguire's second choice, his second choice right centre-back. And Luke Shaw seems to be second choice left centre-back. So if you're Lindelof, I don't think you're getting anywhere near this team at the moment, unfortunately, for is he Swedish international? God, I was going to say Switzerland, Swedish. It's always a mouthful. Anyway, I digress before I find myself in some trouble. I think the attacking positions is where it gets a little bit interesting. Rashford. Now, this is an interesting one. Do you rest Marcus? Does he start though? Did his suspected injury not concern you a little bit?
Look, if there is an injury concern, obviously that's something you definitely do weigh up. But if he's fit and ready to go, I play him again. I fully understand the need to rest for Arsenal, but I also go back to what I said a few minutes earlier. We're not going to just rock up and beat them 5-0. No, obviously we would love that, but it's still going to be a tricky game. So you still need to go there and with your best team possible. As I said, teams who win titles, 9 times out of 10, they play their strongest team. And we're going to have a little bit of rotation. We've both included rotation at the back in regards to Martinez and Dalot coming in. And I just think, look, I'm not going to lose any sleep. I think I'm confident going there without Marcus Rashford at the moment. He is our match winner. So I would be starting him. But I understand people's hesitancy and that protective nature. And look, I do see that point of view, and I do agree with it. Ultimately, they'll find the manager. I'm getting his boots on and say, go score another goal.
Maybe. George says here, looking forward to another Fred performance against Arsenal where he's the best player for both teams. Wasn't there a game, was it against Arsenal last season where Fred was literally the best player for both teams? I think it was against Arsenal at Old Trafford. I can recall something like along those lines.
I remember that was the game Ronaldo scored 2, Bruno Fernandes scored 1. I remember Fred winning a penalty. I don't remember any, so that was a positive for me. I don't remember any negatives. Maybe there was. Maybe he set up the other goals. He
definitely did contribute to Arsenal's scoring. Oh, Fred. He's been so good this season, I must say. When he's come in, he's looked really good.
Post-World Cup, he's been very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I throw an option out there for you? There's 14 people in the live chat. It's great to have you. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you hit a like on the video. Stay tuned for the end because we do have some transfer news that we absolutely will rip into. Manchester United linked with a midfielder. We'll definitely get into that. But Tom, before we do get there, I'm going to throw an option at you for the starting attacking options. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Weghorst, nice and fresh. Get that big, beautiful bastard up front. I'm going to go Anthony on the right. Bruno's definitely going to be in the 10. Anthony Martial on the left. How do you feel about that? I think he's struggling a little bit. I want to pull him out of the center. I want to see him get on the ball.
Has Eric Ten Hag really played Martial off left? I don't think he has. Look, I'll be on Marcus. Yeah, so I don't see that as an option for Eric Ten Hag. And in regards to the options and how well whoever's playing on the left is playing, I don't think Martial gets in on left wing. I think, look, he's not pulling up any trees through the middle, but I think he's playing quite well through the middle. You got Garnacho playing well on the left. You got Rashford playing well on the left. I think let them battle it out. Let them provide. So you don't need to add a sort of third wheel into that sort of scenario. So I'm going Marcus Rashford on the left. Definitely throwing Weghorst up front. You can see him scoring a goal. I think there's such that positive vibe. I could definitely see that. And I would go Anthony on the right because I do think Bruno Fernandes will play on the right against Arsenal. So here's where I get Anthony a few more minutes. And look, Anthony's playing well. I think his performance against Manchester City went a little bit under the radar. It wasn't like a game-changing or match-winning performance.
Improved. Definitely improved.
But no, he did very well against a very good opposition. So I'll reward him with another start against Palace. And look, it's one of those ones that you do hope you maybe 2 or 3 goals up at halftime. Now, it's a dream scenario. Very often that's not the case. But hopefully you do get 2 goals up. Then you can take Marcus Rashford off. But Wout Weghorst definitely gets a start for me. I'd be shocked if Weghorst doesn't start off Martial's sort of lack of goals and potential injury.
And he did get hooked at halftime. Tom, how did you forget Fred stepping on? That's what it was. Fred stepped on De Gea.
I remember. We almost got a free kick for it.
Oh, Fred. Oh, man. Yeah. I cannot wait. He's one of those players, Fred, where, you know what, when he leaves United, there's going to just be an absolute bloopers reel. There'll be a highlights reel, but there'll be a bloopers reel that complements it nicely. Definitely. I'm with you, mate. I think that Weghorst. Mike's got a good question here. Would we maybe see Jadon Sancho on the bench?
Got to see it eventually.
Is he still a Manchester United player?
I'm not even seeing him in the training photos. Like usually you see those sort of photos bench around it, and all the reports from Eric Ten Hag's mouth say he's back, and yes, he's training, but we're not physically seeing it. Now, is there a reason for that? Is there not a reason? Is it a coincidence? Obviously, who knows? But Manchester United are very smart in what they put out on their social medias, and we're definitely not seeing him. So, look, it is interesting, but it doesn't have the vibe of, how Eric Ten Hag was sort of, I wouldn't say at war with Cristiano Ronaldo, but there was tension there. There was something happening there. You could definitely tell there was undertones in what everything Eric Ten Hag was saying. It was always alluding to maybe Ronaldo sort of being out the door. Everything we're hearing from Eric Ten Hag in regards to Jadon Sancho, it's like, yeah, he's out of the, but he's still in my plans. He's like, and I know Eric Ten Hag always said Ronaldo was in the plans, but you could kind of see through it at times. With Jadon Sancho, I do feel there's a genuine desire to get him back. But so it is interesting what's happening, but it's up in the air. Who knows what on earth's happening?
Yeah, who knows? I'd like to see him come back because this individual training, I mean, he's not really going to be practicing dribbling against cones, is he? I mean, he needs to actually get back out there. I mean, if you believe reports, he's our second highest paid player. So I'd like to see him, like to see us getting something worth value for money. But all right, Tom, so we're going to call it. Anthony is on the right. We think it'll be Gnat. Well, probably Rashford. Rashford will be on the left.
I think it'll be Rashford.
And Wout Weghorst up front. I'm going to back the big man to score. Tom, give me a score prediction.
I can sense it. You definitely see him scoring a goal.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me a score prediction and let's rip into some transfer news.
Let's go 2-0 United. I'd say maybe Weghorst and Rashford.
I think they'll be stubborn, but I think we'll break them eventually. I'm with you. I'm going to say 2-1 United. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. And you know what I want to say? Martinez put in a good performance, mate. I'm happy for him. I'm buzzing him for the World Cup, but he needs to really whack himself back in the thick of the season.
What do you say then? A good performance by Martinez, but we go and comfortably win the game. It's a dominant 2-0 display. Rashford, Weghorst score the goals. Martinez puts in a faultless display, but not much to do at the back. Arsenal, sure, or Martinez?
I'll let you know after the Crystal Palace match. But let's talk about some transfer news. Tom, there are 23 people in here, so make sure you get involved because we've got some news for you. Now, this came out 3 minutes ago, so I'm going to talk to you about one signing and then I'm going to talk to you about potential other. Marco Reus, Tom. There's a report in the Mail saying his representatives were spotted at the Manchester derby. I've got the photos here. It's considered that Manchester United, as well as Al Nassr, are after his signature. His Borussia Dortmund contract expires in the summer. That's from United Report. Again, quoting Mail Sport there. We're competing with the might of Al Nassr. How on earth can we compete with that? Marco Reus, is there any legs in this story?
No, I hope not. Marco Reus doesn't have any legs anymore. So, look, I definitely hope not. I don't see. That's the first I've heard of it there. I hope not. Surely not. There's got to be nothing in that story. You could definitely see the Saudi Arabian club going in there. Obviously, they're going to maybe try to capitalise on what they have done with Ronaldo, and Ronaldo will be sort of urging them to sort of add a little bit more quality to that squad, of course. But no way Manchester United signing Royce. I'd be shocked. I wouldn't look. I'd welcome any signing, of course. I'd welcome any signing at Man United. I'd find it hard to get behind that one. Nothing against him personally, just the player and the situation and his career. It'd be a disastrous signing, in my opinion.
Just another player that plays off the left in a position that we're probably the only position we actually do have some depth in. Yeah, I can't see that one, and I think Tom's frozen on me. So, Tom, I'm going to kick you out. If he manages to resort his Wi-Fi, Tom can come back. But the big news, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to wait for Tom. I'm just going to rip into it with you. The big story, Youri Tielemans has been linked with Manchester United. Now, there's a reporter called Sasha sorry, I'm going to butcher this, ladies and gentlemen, so please bear with me. It's nearly 10:30 p.m. here in Sydney, so I am getting a little bit tired. But Sacha Tavolieri, now he's a Belgian journalist, so must have some sort of links with Belgian players, you'd like to think. Tom, welcome back. I was just about to introduce the people to Yuri Tielemans. Sacha Tavolieri seems to be a journalist in Belgium. He's linking Yuri Tielemans with Manchester United. The reports suggest that United are looking for a cut price deal to bring in the Belgian midfielder this month. This was a signing, I think about 6 months ago, you and I would have grasped that.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a good season with Leicester. Talk to me. Yuri Tielemans, would you take him at Manchester United?
Yeah, it's interesting. 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, yes, and now you think probably no, and it's one of the ones. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. 6 weeks ago, I'm saying sell him. Today, I'm saying definitely don't sell him. So, football opinions do change very quickly. On Tielemans, look, there's no doubt his quality, and in terms of when Eric Ten Hag walked in the door, if you were to weigh up players who suits an Eric Ten Hag system, Fred McTominay or Yuri Tielemans, it's Yuri Tielemans. You could definitely see him going and playing for an Ajax or the Netherlands national team. So he's obviously a very good footballer. How his season has panned out at Leicester, I think that's obviously down to him and also the situation at Leicester as well. It's a team game. I think you could be a great player there and you'd still be struggling given their situation. So I don't see too much in the story. I think Manchester United have been quite sort of not linked with too many players. So I think a lot of journalists are getting Man United's name out there in terms of it will generate a little bit of excitement. In terms of midfield reinforcements, look, we do need to improve our midfield, especially in regards to depth. But I don't think it's a real priority in regards to fixing anything in January. I think you can maybe look at up front, obviously, which we have addressed, and sort of maybe depend on the right back situation with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But in terms of midfield, I don't see an immediate sort of emergency fix needed. And I think that's all this story is. And obviously, where the story is coming from now, you could see this two ways. You could see Tielemans in Belgium. Okay, there's credibility in this, obviously, as his ear close to the ground, this journalist, or he could have a relationship with Tielemans, who's just said, okay, journalist, can you get this out for me in regards to spreading a bit of interest in my name? And I think, in my opinion, that's probably what it is. I think this is from Tielemans' camp, trying to maybe force a move elsewhere away from Leicester.
I'm not too sure. Look, on the player himself, I'd be very hesitant to say don't sign him because this guy at his best, top midfielder. He can be brilliant. I've seen him play
I could see him working out very well at Man United.
Absolutely, and that's the point, right? I think when this guy's at his best, don't write him off. Don't let 6 months fool you. This is a top footballer. I mean, I can see why if you're a player like Tielemans, you're 25, 26 years of age, he's still so young. He's, still in the prime of his career to come. And you look at that kind of player. You look at the performance Fred put in against Manchester City. Tielemans can give you that, but with a bit more quality. And that's the difference. I think they're in the same mold of player, Tielemans and Fred, but I think everything Tielemans can do is just that little bit better than the Brazilian. So if United can do this one, I'd be all for it. If he's an option off the bench, even a start, I mean, if you're going to start Tielemans over Eriksen every now and then, I don't think you're going to have too many critics. I could see him really fitting in well.
I think someone will have to leave. But before I see Tielemans coming in, I think one would have to leave. And obviously there has been interest.
You mentioned McTominay in Newcastle. Yeah. I could see that.
But I can't see that in January. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. In regards to the situation we find ourselves in, the competitions we're in, I think it would be the right decision. This is not saying Tielemans, or it's not saying McTominay is better than Tielemans, of course not. But in regards to the makeup of the squad, in terms of what we need, and sort of, you do need to see, as we've seen on the weekend, in regards to people fighting for Manchester United. I'm not saying Tielemans not going to fight for Manchester United, but I don't think we're in a position where short-term we should be getting rid of guarantees who do fight for United, and that is McTominay. And it might be a game like Crystal Palace or Reading in the FA Cup where we do need that little bit of bite, which someone like that does give you, so that you can see an upgrade in the quality. Of course, fixing that in January in the position we're in, a little bit risky in my opinion.
I want to see McTominay lift a Premier League title before he leaves Manchester United. So I'd like to see McTominay stick around this season for title 21. So hopefully Ten Hag affords the number 39 that opportunity. But George, I can't believe nobody has been in for Tielemans earlier. He's also in the last year of his contract. So do you wait or fight for a free signature or splash the cash and get him now? But well, that's the thing. I mean, if you're talking about splashing the cash, if you're at Leicester, haggle a little bit. If you've got good negotiators in there, hey, do you want £5 million for him now or do you want 0 for him in the summer? I'll take the $5 million now, thank you.
Yeah, oh no, look, you definitely have to weigh that up. And in regards to if Eric Ten Hag and the club are sort of 80% sold on him, think, we like him, but we're not quite sure. If someone else is showing a bit of interest and you think maybe you can get him on the cheap, that's obviously going to, and rightfully so, factor in the decision making.
If you know that you're going to sell one of McTominay or Fred in the summer, and you know that this guy can I don't think he's a starting 11 player for Manchester United if they're fighting for the title, but I absolutely think he's a great squad player. And I think if you can put him into that rotation, if he is your replacement for one of those players and he is available now, I think you have to get him. Let me ask you this final question on Tielemans then. If you're the board, and I know obviously that there's all the congestion around the Manchester United sale of the Glazers selling the club. Surely you back the manager now. I mean, we're genuinely in a potential title race. If we even get a draw against Arsenal, we're in a title race. So do they have to back him for what he's managed to do this season?
It's not even a question for me. Will they, won't they? That's obviously another debate. Of course they need to, in regards to we sort of fell over this hurdle when Solskjaer was top at Christmas or second at Christmas, turn of the year sort of thing, and we didn't go and invest in January. Now, even if we did, it probably wouldn't eventuate in time, but we definitely didn't back the manager then. I'm just thinking he learned from that. Whether we sort of invest and we go get another £100 million worth of players in January, it still might not result in anything. We might finish outside the top four and no trophies. You never know what's going to happen, but you need to give the manager and the players the opportunity. So 100% Eric Ten Hag and the players do deserve that backing. But in regards to my hesitancy around Tielemans at the moment, I really like the player. I think he's a fantastic player and obviously a very sort of high-quality footballer who does improve our midfield, especially in regards to quality and depth. I just have a feeling, maybe just the way the story has come out, I'm a little bit hesitant. So, look, I would welcome the player 100%. I'm not completely sold on the story. However, in saying that, I wasn't sold on the Casemiro story when that came out. I said, no, that's no way that's happening. A week later, he was walking out on the pitch at Old Trafford. So there could be something in it. Time will tell.
Oh, Tom, you could see a player holding a jersey at Old Trafford and you'll still tell me he's not signed. But we'll come to your comments. Rotation for Eriksen would be great, says Helgen Wheels 87, but we have no money. We were lucky to get WEGHORST. Look, this whole United don't have money thing. I reckon they'd splash the money for the right player, but I think obviously there is an eye to the summer. And if you're a good businessman, which I don't think the Glazers are, but nonetheless, if you are a good businessman or an adequate businessman, let's say, they have to consider that they're still in charge of the club, because until they sell it, they're in charge. So, and I think that's how they will run the club until the day they go. George, Tielemans and Trossard are two players I can't believe nobody has gone in for. Yeah, Trossard's a baller. I'd absolutely.
Well, he's forced his way out. He's got to leave this January for Brighton. That's all pretty much guaranteed from all the rumors we're hearing from the horse's mouth in regards to the manager. Now, you do look at our situation across that sort of front three and those wide players, you think, okay, probably no need for him. But God, in regards to he's one player, I love Trossard in regards to the way he plays now in terms of this sort of potential. I haven't seen it, and obviously I don't follow Brighton, so I don't know the whole story. I'm just hearing what the manager and Trossard's agent, or you don't know what his attitude is like off the field, or maybe it's gone a little bit sour at the moment at Brighton. But if he ends up at Manchester United, you would obviously all fall in love with him. But he's a player who always causes big teams trouble. So, look, we're maybe sort of stacked in regards to that area of the pitch. Obviously, there's a little bit of rumours around Palestri potentially being given a new contract as well. So Fabrizio Romano just tweeted something about that. So obviously well stacked. But if Trossard is being forced out the door, if you want to bolster your squad, I don't think the club maybe should go out and sort of splash the cash on him. But they definitely should have a word to him.
Oh, man. How many players... Sign them all, Tom. Sign them all. Why even stop there? Just sign Kylian and Mbappe, why don't you?
Well, it ties in with the other story starter another is Anthony Elanga.
Yeah.
So it could potentially tie in there.
We'll talk about that in just a moment. There's 33 of you here, which is absolutely great. We're on our way to 1.5 thousand subs, which is an awesome achievement for us and something we're extremely proud of. We love our community here. Help us get there. We're on 1.44 subs, so we're not far away. There's 32 of you here. If just half of you subscribe, we might just hit that 1.5K before the video ends. So help us do that. That'd be much appreciated. But Tom, let's talk about Elanga a little bit before we wrap up. There's some consideration and reports suggesting that he might be on his way to Borussia Dortmund. Now, he's got a great chance, so I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I always like belting out a good song. I hate the nursery rhyme that Manchester United fans like to sing. But no, in all seriousness, mate, Elanga, he'd obviously not favoured at United. I said Garnacho might replace him before the end of the season. We're not even halfway, and I think Garnacho's already replaced him. So if you're Anthony Elanga, do you start thinking about your career and go get yourself some football, or do you ride the Manchester United fairy tale, Eric Ten Hag's merry-go-round for now?
Look, if I'm Anthony Elanga in regards to a Manchester United fan, I'm staying around because I think I get my hands on a League Cup or something. Maybe not feature in the final, but I could potentially see Manchester United win a trophy this season. In regards to Anthony Elanga's career, if I'm him, yeah, you're looking at a move away. I don't think the future is at Old Trafford. But if you're Eric Ten Hag in regards to results this season, yeah, okay, you're not using him too much, of course, but there might be a time where you do need 90 minutes out of him, or you need 2 performances out of him. So I think Eric Ten Hag selfishly will look to keep him and sell him in the summer. But ultimately, if there is a little bit of pressure from Anthony Elanga's camp to say, look, I can go get football elsewhere for the next couple of months, who is Eric Ten Hag to stand in that player's way? So if there is one out this January transfer window, I think it will be Anthony Elanga. What I would look, I think I said something different maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was talking about Facundo Palestri. But the situation now with all these other names popping around, WEGHORST being confirmed, all these things. If the option was given now to sell Anthony Elanga for, I don't know, what would you say, 15 million, 20 million, with the Glazers would probably sell him for. Well, you compare what other players. Yeah, the Glazers would probably sell him for 2 million. But in regards to sort of a young player coming through, he's still a young player, Premier League. Plenty of Premier League experience. If he was at Liverpool or Chelsea,
player for me.
If he was at Chelsea or Liverpool, he'd go for 20 million. 100%.
I'm amazed. I mean it with all due respect. Look, seems like a lovely guy, Anthony Elanga. I'm amazed Borussia Dortmund are after him. There's a player. There's a player there. You look when he's played. He turns it on for Sweden. In some of the Swedish games, he does turn on. He looks a player. And I'm just thinking there is something there. Now, as I said, if he's at Chelsea or Liverpool, they sell him for 20 million. Manchester United can't sell players. So, yes, I understand. Is he Manchester United's answer to Jordan Ibe?
Yeah, but that's how much did he go for?
15 million.
Exactly. So that's what United should be selling him for. Now, will they? Probably not. But in regards to what we could get for him, we could get that. Now, let's hope the Glazers and Richard Arnold do the business properly and what they should do, and that would result in a 15 or 20 million fee for Anthony Elanga. And that's what I think, given the situation now, if I was playing Football Manager, that's the route I would probably take.
Yeah, they're going to say him for a bag of Doritos and a jar of Vegemite. Let's be real. George making the comment here, Mbappe is our new number 7 when the new owners... George, mate, you're speaking my language, brother. You're speaking my language. Tom, I'm telling you, I don't think that's far-fetched.
Look.
It's not far-fetched. I'm telling you, in the summer,
Mbappe's team will want him in the Premier League because football is moving towards the Premier League in regards to TV money, the sponsorships, the commercial opportunity for players. That is all heading to England. I know Real Madrid and Barcelona obviously sort of carry a lot of prestige in Spain, but players and their agents will be wanting their sort of clients to get into the Premier League. And how many clubs in the Premier League could get Mbappe? Man United's on a very short list. And now with new owners trying to make a statement, is the right sign and wrong sign? And you have to ask Eric Ten Hag. As much as I'd love Mbappe at the club, in regards to the footballer and his ability, I would just simply say, Eric, do you want him or not? Because there is a case where Eric Ten Hag wouldn't. Now, there might be a 5% chance, 10% chance he wouldn't, but Eric Ten Hag does know what he wants, and you'd definitely have to consult him first before I get too excited about any Mbappe transfer. How
do you feel about Mbappe up front and Rashford on the left? Might have the fastest front line in world football. You know what? If Elon Musk wants to build jets that go to Mars, put Marcus Rashford on one side and Mbappe on the other. Between their leg speed, I reckon you get some firepower.
It's one of those ones in regards to look how Anthony Martial links up with Marcus Rashford. There's chemistry there. Okay, we see all the traits Mbappe and Rashford have together. Would they complement each other? They might. They very well might not. So, look, I'm not getting too excited about Kylian Mbappe at the moment. He's brilliant, though, to be fair.
He is so good. Would you take him at United, Kylian Mbappe?
Yeah, no, of course I'd take him at United, but ultimately I would say, hang on, I don't care about my opinion or my wants. I've simply got to the stage because how good he is, and I'm talking about Eric Ten Hag, how good Eric Ten Hag is, he's the one who has this choice, not new owners.
Yep, you got a point there. Would you want to see Kylian Mbappe sign for Manchester United? It has absolutely nothing to do with this Crystal Palace preview. I don't know how he landed here, but if you would like Mbappe at Manchester United, put a yes in the comment, please. Please. I want to see how many people want it. Exit light. If Eric Ten Hag can't get a tune out of Elanga, it can't be done. He might as well pull in Aaron Wan-Bissaka before the season's out. Hey, that's a very valid comment by Exit light. Every player's improved. I could argue Elanga's regressed. He hasn't played a lot of football, granted, but he hasn't impressed when he's come in, has he? We did get a win against Arsenal with Anthony Elanga starting the game, to be fair. So, that might have been
Liverpool as well.
Game. Sorry, the Liverpool match.
Yeah, Liverpool.
There you go. George, if Elanga goes for 15 million, we better get 35 million plus for Hendo in the summer. If Chelsea want to pay, I'm all ears, need to recoup some money. If he gets relegated with Nottingham Forest, I don't know if he'll be getting a big move. That might come back to backfire against Manchester United. And George, if anyone says no, they're lying, and that's about Mbappe. And George, again, 100%. You know what? I think me and George will start the Mbappe fan club, the Manchester United Kylian Mbappe fan club. How about that? Oh, honestly, I'll give up my Martial. I just got a signed Martial frame. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I think he might get sold in the summer, to be honest.
You could replace him with the Christmas tree.
Oh, God. For anyone new watching, I've got the Christmas tree is a bit of an omen. Last season, I put the tree up until Juan Mata scored. The tree's staying up until Martial scores. And now I'm scared Martial might not play again this season because he's got a 6'6" bloody big brick bastard in front of him now, and he's Dutch, and our Dutch manager is going to back that prick to the hill, and we might not see Martial again. So there you go. Held on Wheels 87. I'm with Tom. I trust Eric Ten Hag. I want who he needs for the wheels to grind. Absolutely. And George, fun fact, Elanga has never scored at Old Trafford. All his goals have been away goals. How's that for a bit of trivia? Someone needs to check that for me. I'm not sure I believe, George.
I think there was something about that last season. Obviously, he hasn't scored this season as well. I think we all remember one of the brilliant moments, especially around the birth of his song, that Anthony Elanga Rhythm is a Dancer, the goal away at Atletico Madrid. Now, unfortunately, it didn't result in anything. We got knocked out in the return leg. But if he is to move away from Manchester United and have a career elsewhere, what a moment for him. Now, yes, it didn't result in what we wanted, but scoring away in the Champions League, that brilliant goal, he will have moments that he does remember at Man United.
Absolutely. We will look to wrap things up now, but I will come to this one final comment by Mike B. Nice to see you in the comments, mate. Sorry to take things off topic. Oh, yeah, because we never do that ourselves. Come on, mate. It's what we're all about. The kick to Ramsdale, yesterday was shocking. Tom, did you see this? It was all over. It was on Twitter a little bit. What did you make of it? My personal opinion, it wasn't right, but when an Arsenal player gets kicked, I'm all for it.
Look, I understand the banter is sort of nature you sort of come at or sort of allude to, but ultimately give him a life ban. And it's not just we can say a disgrace, which 100% of course it is. It's not security should do better, which 100% that they should. It's just the sheer stupidity of the guy in regards to, it's like you're on camera, you're in the best stadium in England in regards to sort of high-tech sort of technology in regards to being caught, and just the stupidity to do that like on national TV or global TV to kick a player. It's not like he's in a crowd and they're all sort of huddled in and he throws a few jabs or something. Like this, he just stands up on the advertising hoarding above everyone and throws a kick at him. I just thought, look, I'm not a big fan of Aaron Ramsdale, but any footballer going onto the pitch, the last thing needs to happen to them is any type of physical abuse from a spectator. So security 100% need to do better, 100%. But the only person, so we can blame a little bit of fault or point a little bit of fault at the security, of course. But there's one person who needs to take the blame for this, and that's the idiot in the stands from Tottenham. I hope he gets a life ban.
I'm with you. Look, it was disgraceful, obviously, tongue-in-cheek. If a player gets hurt on the football pitch, I want it from another player. I don't. When fans get involved, I think the greatest achievement in world football was when Cantona kung fu'd that bastard at Palace. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And if you haven't watched what was the name of that film, Tom? The film where Cantona's like, I don't regret it one bit. If I had my time again, my only regret was I'd kick him harder. What film was that?
Well, he said that before the film. I think you're alluding to potentially The United Way.
United Way. That's
where he was the narrator. And he mentions that a lot of times. But even that is something we celebrate as Manchester United fans. But also, now that fan was abusing Eric Cantona, so you could say he gets what he deserves. But there's also a case where same players shouldn't get assaulted by fans. there's also a fan's right to go to the game. They shouldn't be assaulted by players. Now, that's me. I'm sitting here. I celebrate the Eric Cantona kick. Does that make me a hypocrite? Probably. But it's almost a two-way street. So it's one of those, I say George saying, if it happened to Jordan Pickford, it would be okay. That's where I'm a hypocrite. I don't like Jordan Pickford. But ultimately, that's tongue-in-cheek. Like, it's one of those ones, no player should be
Would Jordan Pickford reach you if he wanted to punch you? Would he be able to? Do you think he'd fall a little bit short?
No chance. I could keep him at distance with a few leg kicks. And, Jordan Pickford, as George said earlier in the comments, they're in a relegation battle, Everton, and I love it. For Lampard, I'd love Lampard to go down. I hope they keep a hold of him. And more importantly, Jordan Pickford. Seeing him in the championship would please me so much, Larry.
You know he'd get a transfer to a Premier League club. Watch Manchester United sign him.
That scares me. I've played that scenario out in my mind far too many times. If Jordan Pickford signed for Manchester United, look, of course I would still love the club. I'd back the club. I'd back Jordan Pickford. My God, I'd have a few tough hours there, sort of convincing myself it's the right thing to do. I could almost pack it in and throw it all away if Jordan Pickford arrived at United.
Well, definitely stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed for Tom's inevitable meltdown video when Jordan Pickford signs for Manchester United after being relegated by Everton. But we will wrap up with your comments. So get your final thoughts in, and we will definitely look to wrap up. It's been brilliant. There's 40 of you here. Cheers for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. I'm happy to get Mbappe, provided his ego is in check and he has a team-first attitude. The last thing we need, or Eric would need, is a Pogba. Number 2, you know what?
That's where. Do you remember that counter attack with Pesci? I forget who it was, but he wanted the ball and some guy didn't pass to him. There was a three-way sort of striker. He went to the right, Mbappe went to the left. The ball carrier chose the pass on the right, and Mbappe just stopped running. Said stuff. He didn't pass to me, and I just see that. And maybe that's a one-off incident potentially. I understand that all players are guilty of sort of doing the wrong thing at times, but that was a real highlighted issue, which I thought, Jesus, there is something with his attitude now. Players at the top do have an attitude, fair play to them. That's what makes them sort of brilliant in their own case. But it does scare me, his attitude. Not to say he's got a bad one, but there is an attitude there. That could be positive or negative, but it would concern me if he arrived at United.
I think if he was to sign... if he signs for United, there's absolutely a sit-down conversation with Ten Hag first. And I think Ten Hag would lay the law.
It's what it all comes down to. You mentioned Ten Hag. It's what it comes down to. Eric Ten Hag, does he want him or not? And if he wants him, go spend 200, 300, 400 mil, whatever it takes to go get him. If it's the player Eric Ten Hag thinks can lead Man United to where we need to be, that's the player to go get. Now, would he sort of put that price tag on him? No, I think Eric Ten Hag is a lot more balanced in regards to sort of spreading the cost or spreading the quality around the team. But look, time will tell. I'm sure he will be linked and heavily linked in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. George says, clipping this, lads. Mate, I'm telling you. Don't worry, Tommy's going to Chelsea. Oh, that would be a prep. Yeah, well, you know what?
I could see that.
They're in their third season of FIFA 23 career mode. They'll definitely sign a goalkeeper. And they won't sell the other two. Vin, how are you, mate? Who's the worst of the two in the managerials, Gerrard or Lampard? It has to be Lampard. At least Gerrard won something, and I know Grant said it was Scotland.
I'll tell you who's very lucky not to be in that discussion.
Go on.
Paul Scholes. He's luckily got out of the managerial discussion because remember his time at Oldham?
Well, all 4 games.
Yeah, so he's lucky. Like, well, look, I'm all aboard that train of thought in regards to what Vin puts out there, Gerrard and Lampard. But Gary Neville, no, but just in regards to Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, that whole debate as players. As managers, it's Gerrard and Lampard. Scholes has luckily, thank God, sort of been pushed out the side door and forgotten about. In regards to who's worse, Gerrard or Lampard?
Has to be Gerrard. Has to be Lampard, I think.
No, I don't know. Someone could have the facts and sort of prove me completely wrong. I know Gerrard won a title in Scotland, fair play to him, but something about Gerrard for me, I don't. Lampard, I know he did well at Chelsea at times.
At Chelsea, and
but didn't he also have nothing at Chelsea at some stage as well?
He had a transfer ban for a little bit, yeah. But they put a fortune behind him. He had them sitting awfully in terms of, I think they were 10th when he got sacked. And then Tuchel comes in and wins them the Champions League.
Yeah. Look, I just hated Steven Gerrard far more growing up. So maybe Lampard a bit more lenient towards Lampard.
Lampard was a baller. I liked Lampard quietly. Like, as a player, you had to like. You watched the TV as a kid, you like Lampard. It was good to watch. Just didn't like Chelsea, unfortunately. Scholes or Gary Neville? Oh, that's an easy one. Gary Neville is disaster with Valencia. I'd still take him for anything under 90 million, George. I don't know who you're talking about there. I'm just Mbappe. Oh, here we go. About Harry Kane. My Harry Kane train hype folded this morning. I don't want him now. Man, I'm telling you, that's the one everyone's sleeping on. I think Kane to United.
Yeah.
In the summer, I'm telling you, watch that one ramp right up. I think that one's bang on. I think if Ten Hag gets his way, I think that's his number 9.
Yep. No, I think Erik ten Hag will be fully behind that, and the club will definitely be fully behind it. And most importantly, but the biggest factor in this, I think Harry Kane will be right behind it. And I do think Harry Kane will be Man United. Well, I can't say will be Man United's number 9 next season, but I think Man United will definitely want that to be the case.
He's English. He's a striker. He is from a marketing point of view, it makes sense. You want an English star in the team, and I think he would come into United and he would bang goals.
I think he suits the way we play as well.
Absolutely. Well, Rashford would be his answer to Son, and he's got a better manager around him.
The way Tottenham playing, oh my God, I watched him against Arsenal as well. I'm shocked at how bad they are. I remember people were saying Antonio Conte, and Gary Neville even got a lot of stick saying Conte shouldn't be managing Man United. And I was on the train, look, he's a good manager in his own right, but he's not a Manchester United manager. And I watch Tottenham, unfortunately, far too often this season. I don't know, whenever I throw the telly on, Tottenham are on the TV. My God, they are beyond woeful. Remember our bad football under Louis van Gaal?
Yeah. That
was free-flowing counter-attacking football Louis van Gaal was displaying compared to what Antonio Conte is dishing up.
Yeah, Conte just hates his life. I think Conte wakes up and says, how do I make my day miserable? He's one of those. But
you've got such quality in Son and Harry Kane, and they're literally standing on halfway with their hand up saying, kick it to me, lads. Like, there's nothing there. Like, there is no... They're embarrassing to watch. And look, I love it because I don't have too much time for Tottenham. And if they're doing bad, that's sort of one less sort of contender to deal with in regards to Manchester United's pursuit of whatever success we need this season. But ultimately, you do watch them. They are... I don't know. I see a situation where Pochettino comes back, which is crazy, but I do think Conte gets the sack and Poch will come back.
That is a hell of a shout. I don't think that's too far-fetched. Maybe it'll be too cool. Chelsea managers like going to Tottenham. And vice versa. Excellent, good show, lads. Glad to find an Aussie Man United show in Ten Hag we trust. Thank you, mate. Absolute pleasure. Hope you're subscribed, and always feel free to get involved. We love that, but I think we will leave it there. I'm ready to go to bed, and I think Tom is too. Tom, our 20-minute preview has gone much longer than anticipated, but again, it's because of all of you for tuning in. So thank you. If you are new, make sure you do hit subscribe. Keep up to date with all the content. I've got lots of shows coming up for you. The Friday Night Pint will definitely be one to tune into this week. Obviously, we'll have the review of the Crystal Palace game, and any breaking news, we'll be sure to bring you a view from down under. So, with all that being said, Tom, have a good night. To everyone in the comments, have a good night. Anyone tuning in, have a good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.